This is the Susalt Queen upholstered sleigh bed frame. What surprised me most is how it brings a boutique look into the room while staying absolutely quiet and steady, even when I roll over or sit up to read. I would put this into the upholstered sleigh bed category, and it is for anyone who wants a softer, more refined look without giving up everyday durability. If you are setting up a new space, refreshing a room, or moving on from a squeaky metal frame, this is aimed right at you. I wanted something comfortable to lean on at night, sturdy enough not to wobble, and calm in its design, and that is what I have here. The design details that matter in daily use are easy to spot. The headboard and the footboard curl back in that classic sleigh shape, and it does not feel overdone or fussy. The curve is gentle, which gives the bed a more inviting presence and keeps bedding from looking sloppy. The upholstery is chenille, so it feels soft and a little textured when my hand brushes across it. I went with the warm brown color, which reads neutral in natural light and warm under lamps. It blends with wood nightstands and also works with black metal lamps. The headboard has a subtle wingback shape and button tufting, and both features end up being practical. The wings wrap around just enough to cradle pillows, and the tufting keeps the padding in place so it does not shift or flatten out weirdly. The corners and edges are rounded, which I appreciate when I cut the lights and do not want to knock a shin. The fabric has held up to pets climbing up and me leaning back with a book. It does not show fingerprints or smudges, and a quick pass with a lint brush takes care of stray pet hair. Setup was clearer than I expected. The parts were labeled, the hardware was bagged by step, and the instructions matched what I saw in the box. I took my time and still had the frame standing in about half an hour working mostly alone. The headboard is the only piece that really benefits from a second set of hands, just to hold it steady while you line up the side rails. The slats attach with Velcro, which sounds unusual until you do it. The strips guide each slat into place and keep them from shifting over time. That single choice removes so much frustration because I am not chasing slats that slide left and right while I make the bed. I tightened everything snug, set the support legs, and that was it. No weird angles or mystery bolts. Once it is together, the first thing I notice is how solid it feels. There are 6 support legs underneath that give the frame a planted stance, and that support runs down the middle where most of the weight lies. When I sit on the edge to put on socks, the bed does not tip or flex. When I lie down and roll shoulder to shoulder, there is no creak. The company adds a thin, silent cushion layer where parts meet, and in practice, it stops those tiny friction noises that tend to show up at night. I have had frames that groaned with the smallest movement. This one stays quiet. The whole frame has a bit of heft, which is the trade-off. Moving it on your own is a workout. I would rather deal with the weight during a move and get that stability every single night. For the way I sleep, the slat support makes a real difference. I run a memory foam mattress on top with no box spring. The slats are close enough and secure enough to keep foam from bowing between boards. If you prefer a hybrid or a traditional mattress, the frame still does the heavy lifting. Not needing a box spring also keeps the overall height in a comfortable range. I can sit down without climbing up, and I can stand up without sliding off. The recommendation says a mattress between 7 and 13 inches works best. I have a 10-inch mattress, and it sits well within the headboard, showing off the scroll shape while keeping the proportions right. Go much thicker and you start to hide the design that you are paying for, and the bed looks top-heavy. There is a little storage under the frame. The clearance sits right around 5.9 inches. In my room, that translates to a place for low-profile bins, a few pairs of shoes, and room for a robot vacuum to pass through. It is not the bed for large under-bed storage tubs, so if you are counting on that space for big seasonal bins, you might want to plan differently. For me, it is enough to keep clutter off the floor and to make cleaning easy. Real use over many nights tells a fuller story. I read in bed a lot, and the padded headboard with that wingback shape makes it comfortable to settle in against 2 pillows. The angle is supportive without pushing my neck forward, so I do not get that ache between my shoulders. When I get up at night, the frame does not make a sound. When a pet jumps on the footboard and walks up the middle, there is no rattle. When I pull the comforter tight in the morning, the footboard curve helps hold it in place, and the seam along the top edge does not snag fabric. I have pushed my knee into the side rail by accident, and there is enough padding and rounding to take the hit without leaving a mark on the fabric or on my leg. Week to week, I vacuum the floor under the frame with a stick vacuum and run the robot vacuum under there on weekends. With a lint brush and a damp cloth, I can keep the fabric looking fresh. I have not seen any fading next to the window, and the chenille has not pilled. If you want to bring in an adjustable bed base, this frame can work with that. You remove the slats and any center pieces that would block the adjustable base, then the adjustable base and its legs sit inside the side rails. That setup keeps the upholstered look while letting you raise your head or your feet. If you share a bed with someone who needs elevation for breathing or for reading, this is a nice path without changing the room style. There are a few things to keep in mind. The weight is a plus for stability, but it is not fun to move alone. I can slide it across hardwood with felt pads, but stairs or tight turns are a two-person job. The clearance under the bed is useful but not generous. If maximum storage is a priority, you may wish there were another inch or two. Color options for this exact model are limited, so if you want a very specific shade beyond this warm brown, that might be a sticking point. Style-wise, the sleigh shape is elegant and slightly traditional. I think it mixes well with modern pieces, but if your room is very minimal with sharp lines, the scroll ends could feel more decorative than you want. Where this frame really shines is in the everyday, unglamorous parts of living with a bed. It does not complain when you toss and turn. It does not shift. It keeps the mattress supported across the full width, so you do not sink toward the center. It gives you a headboard you can actually lean against for a full chapter or a long show without fidgeting for a better angle. It looks polished the moment you make the bed in the morning, which lifts the whole room. One specific use case that I have enjoyed is a quiet wind-down routine. I turn down the lights, sit up with a pillow behind my lower back, and scroll through a book for 20 minutes. The headboard padding holds up and does not compress to the wood. When I slide down and roll to my side, the frame stays silent. If I get up before sunrise, I can swing my legs over, touch the rounded rail, and stand without a squeak that wakes anyone. On weekends, I can pull the bed out a few inches and run a quick vacuum under it, then push it back in place without having to realign slats or retighten screws. That kind of low-maintenance routine adds up. There are some smart touches I keep coming back to. The Velcro-mounted slats really do make a difference in the way the bed feels and sounds. The quiet layer at contact points has eliminated the tiny click noises that used to drive me crazy. The way the headboard wings guide pillows means I am not fishing for them in the middle of the night. The rounded edges take away that hard frame feeling at the shins. These are small things that add comfort without drawing attention to themselves. I recommend this to anyone who wants a bed that looks refined, feels supportive, and stays quiet. If you love leaning back to read, if you are sensitive to creaks, or if you are tired of frames that loosen up after a few months, this is a great fit. If you need a ton of under-bed storage or want a very bright color, it may not check every box. For most bedrooms, especially where you want a calm, elevated look without babying the furniture, it hits a sweet spot. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own experience. Thank you for watching.